start, we're going to hand the mic over to Stanley Greenberg, the counsel for LEHAVRE.
Another organization. I don't know why this is what. None of us. No, he's in alliance. He has another
Good
organization.
evening, everyone. I'm glad that we have such a turnout that we're overflowing in the back there, because as you've heard from the last speakers, this is a very important situation that we're in. And I'm just going to be brief. I just want to go over some numbers, which is what I do. I think to get an impact of what's going on here, I think it's important to see how much would be coming out of your pockets if this increase does take effect. I'm going to give an example of my own co-op, which is LEHAVRE, where the assessed valuation had increased for the new coming year, which is July 1 of 2011, over 100%. That's not going to be what the tax increase is for the corporation. Since everything phases in over a 5-year period, is what is known as a tentative assessment. If you take that tentative assessment and multiply it out, LEHAVRE would have a 28% tax increase starting July 1 of 2011, and that's using the same existing rate that is in effect right now. Should the rate increase, and in the past few years, they kept the rate in July, but they raised it in January, retro back to July, that would affect, obviously would affect the tax even at a greater percentage, which we wouldn't know at this time. So we're talking about a base of 28% tax increase, which if you do the numbers for LEHAVRE, we're talking about $150 a month on the average per apartment increase in carrying charges. This is very significant and very dangerous. Obviously, and we'll hear later from others, that it's just going to drive the middle-class people just out. I mean, how can we or anybody else afford such a thing? Some of the other co-ops, for instance, Cleveland Gardens, also received over 100% assessed valuation. Their tax rate is also going up around 27 some odd percent. Bay Terrace, 33% tax equivalent. Alicon, which I also do, is going up about 26%. Peekskill Gardens, 25%. All these in Northeast Queens are going up double-digit percentages, and in between 25 to over 30% increase. Now, the buildings I do in Manhattan, we're talking about assessed valuations. Instead of 100%, we're talking about under 30% increases, more like 25% in the assessed valuation, which interprets to even lower taxes. So as you can see, this area seems to be earmarked. The Northeast Queens area seems to be earmarked for these enormous. Hello? Can you hear me now? You don't want me to start over again, I hope. Well, the point is that tax increases between 25 and 35% are in the works based on these new assessed valuation increases. And this would be an enormous impact on all of us in this room and all the shareholders in the Northeast Queens Cooperative. So, and even with this cap they just came out with a 50% assessed valuation, which, as Mike said, is a joke. It is a joke because 50% is what, arbitrary? They said, well, if they don't like 100, we'll give them 50. I mean, it's meaningless. There's no rhyme or reason that they should come out with this kind of increases without trying to explain how they came up with the additional assessed valuations. So for all the shareholders here, I'm glad you came. It has a great impact on you. And taxes are only one area. Unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with oil increases, water and sewer increases. So add it all together, and you know what you're going to come out with. So hopefully you'll write those letters, get those letters signed outside. We'll mail them for you, and we'll hopefully have an impact on the city legislators. Thank you very much.